Namaste. Welcome to Mahakumbh Tales with me, Amish Tripathi.
Hello, I'm Sikta Deo.
This is a splendid flow of water and a magnificent flow of humanity. But the flow of time here is constant, enduring, and unchanging. This is not just the story of the confluence of two visible rivers and one unseen one. This is the saga of the creation of a culture, a civilization, our civilization. The great thinker of independent India, Ram Manohar Lohia ji had said that Lord Ram, Lord Krishna, and Lord Shiva are the pillars, the very embodiment of the idea of India.
So if one Triveni or confluence is of Ganga, Yamuna and the lost river Saraswati, the other is of Ram, Krishna and Shiva. And if we connect this memory to Ganga descending from Shiva's locks, then it becomes a part of an unbroken tradition. A tradition that is older than our memory, in fact, the time itself. Our time can't be measured in years, centuries or even millennia. We are people whose understanding of time includes the cosmic and the mythological scale of various time cycles, including the yugas and the kalpas.
So before we get to Kumbh, or perhaps in order to get to Kumbh, let's travel back in time. As everyone knows, there are 4 yugas or ages in the cycle of yugas. But how many years do each of these yugas have in them? Satyug is 17,28,000 years long. Treta Yuga is 12,96,000 years long. There are 8,64,000 years in Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga is 4,32,000 years long. So all 4 yugas or ages put together come to 43,32,000 years. And how long is a kalpa? 1,000 Satyugs, 1,000 Treta Yugas, 1,000 Dwapar Yugas and 1,000 Kali Yugas together make one kalpa, that is 4,032 crore years. If we look at the ancient texts, we see that the calculation of time till today encompasses 5 kalpas, that is more than 20 billion years. So this is our tradition, a tradition that transcends memory and imagination. In fact, it transcends time itself. A tradition about the beginning of which the Rig Veda had said that before creation there was neither truth nor untruth, neither manifest nor unmanifest, neither day nor night, neither life nor death. So where we stand, we can but imagine this tradition. This tradition is beyond history. This tradition is beyond a tale. It is beyond faith. This tradition is an ethereal mix of consciousness, science and legends. This tradition is the universe that resides within us. Let's hear the story of the Kumbh.
For the past month, this Sangam has witnessed a massive gathering of humanity. The ebb and flow of people coming to the Sangam for a holy dip is constant, ceaseless and round the clock. This is not a cleansing of sins. It is the discovery of one's own soul that lies dormant in worldly life. Hundreds, thousands, lakhs, in fact crores of people come together in these 45 days, flowing as one unending stream, living one faith. Where did this stream begin? Where did Kumbh come from? There are many stories about this. The most prominent story is that of the churning of the ocean. This churning of the ocean was being done by the gods and the anti-gods together. When the kumbh or pot of nectar emerged from the churning, Jayant, the son of Indra, ran away with it. The anti-gods caught Jayant, but they could not take the pot. The gods and the anti-gods fought for 12 days for the pot of nectar. During this war, 4 drops of nectar were spilt in 4 different places: Prayagraj, Haridwar, Ujjain and Nashik. And so, these became the sites of Kumbh.
समुद्र मंथन में जो सबसे पहले हलाहल विष निकला, उसका पान महादेव ने किया। उसके बाद 14 रत्न जो निकले विष सहित, उन 14 रत्नों में अमृत निकला। अमृत को लेकर के देवासुर संग्राम हुआ, देवता और असुर आपस में लड़े और मोहिनी रूप लेकर के भगवान नारायण ने उस अमृत को लेकर के छीना झपटी हुई। तो मोहिनी रूप लेकर के भगवान नारायण उस अमृत को लेकर के भागे। भागने में जहाँ जहाँ वह अमृत छलका, अर्थात जहाँ जहाँ गिरा, वह स्थान कुंभ का बना।
The question is, why is Kumbh every 12 years? Mythological stories contain answers for this as well. Because it took Jayant 12 days to get to heaven from earth with the pot of nectar. 1 day for the gods in heaven is equal to 1 year for the humans on earth. That is why there is a Kumbh every 12 years with the Ardh Kumbh in between.
अभी ये जो महाकुंभ है, महाकुंभ कैसे आता है? 12 पूर्ण कुंभों के पश्चात एक महाकुंभ आता है। कहने का तात्पर्य है कि जहाँ जहाँ अमृत गिरा है वहाँ कुंभ लगता है। हरिद्वार में आप जाएंगे, वहाँ 12 साल बाद ही एक पूर्ण कुंभ लगता है। और उज्जैन में जाएंगे, 12 साल बाद ही एक कुंभ मेला लगता है। और नासिक में जाएंगे, वहाँ 12 साल के बाद ही एक मेला लगता है। और ये जो है हर 12 साल में आता है। इसलिए मैं कहना चाहूँगा कि जितने भी श्रद्धालु अभी महाकुंभ है, और इसके बाद हमारा जो है नासिक का कुंभ आएगा, उसके पश्चात उज्जैन का महाकुंभ आएगा, और उसके पश्चात हमारा प्रयागराज का अर्ध कुंभ आएगा। कि जब देव और दानों में युद्ध हुआ था, 12 दिन युद्ध हुआ था, और जो हमारे यहाँ का जो एक साल है और वहाँ का एक दिन है, इसीलिए 12 दिन युद्ध का अर्थ है कि 12 साल वो जो है संग्राम हुआ था अमृत के लिए, इसीलिए 12 साल में कुंभ मनाया जाता है।
Kumbh has been going on since then. After every 12 kumbhs, there is a Mahakumbh. That is, a Mahakumbh every 144 years. This is the year of the Mahakumbh, and that is why this massive gathering.
Now that we know the story of the Kumbh, but there are lakhs and crores of people who come here from countless villages, towns, cities, from across India. There are lakhs of foreigners who've come out here, right? And some I had actually met on the plane ride here. They're obviously not coming here just for the story. There is a deeper connection. There's almost like a cultural bridge, a spiritual bridge that is being built and crossed here.
Absolutely.
That's what's happening.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's estimated, Amish, that around 45 crore people are going to be here for these 45 days, which is half of Europe.
More than half.
More than half of Europe.
Yeah.
3 times of Russia, 5 times of Germany, 6 France and Britain. So we're giving this.
This is the largest collection of humanity in history.
Right.
In fact, someone had told me this perhaps the largest collection of conscious biomass ever, not just humanity. I don't think so much biomass has ever gathered in one place consciously.
And these figures just tell us the scale of this gathering, the human gathering, which is possibly, like you said, in the history of this mankind, never ever has it ever happened. Let's show you the kind of arrangements that the government has made for the Kumbh this time. The Kumbh area is spread over 4,000 hectares. 67,000 street lights have been installed here. Many Pakka Ghats have been created and 30 pontoon bridges have been built separately. 400 kilometers of temporary roads have been built. There are 500 shuttle buses and 7,000 buses of the roadways. A total of 16,000 trains have been pressed into service, of which 3,000 are special trains. So that was as far as transport is concerned. Now let me tell you about accommodation. More than 1 lakh tents have been set up here. If you take all the poles used in the setting up of these tents and lay them end to end, they will reach America. There are more than 10,000 government camps. 1.5 lakh toilets have been built and 10,000 government employees are at work here. For security, there are 23,000 CCTV cameras and AI surveillance as well. And over 48 crore people have been at Mahakumbh till now.
What strikes me, Sikta, is in the pre-modern era, when there were no planes, no trains, no buses, many had to walk all the way here. All that existed was, these two rivers merging simultaneously and a third unseen river.
Right.
But Kumbh used to happen in those days as well.
Yeah.
How did it happen?
Right, Amish, let's take a look at the deeper meaning of the tradition here. How far does our memory go about the Kumbh Mela, and since when has Sangam been calling its devotees to make a trip here?
The Kumbh Mela, held at the site of the Sangam or confluence every 12 years, is not an event of contemporary times. It is centuries old. It is possible that it had another name in those days or other stories of folklore associated with it. But this is clear. People used to gather on the river banks and take a dip in the Sangam. The Kumbh Mela has been held since ancient times. There is much evidence of this. The very first proof of this dates back to 644 AD. In a few places, there is mention of Kumbh having a cycle of 5 years. Gradually, this periodicity has settled at 12 years. The Chinese traveller Hyun Tsang has mentioned the fair in his book. This book mentions it as a gathering for Hindu bathing rituals in Prayag. Adi Shankaracharya is also credited with formalizing the Kumbh Mela. In addition to Prayagraj, there is also mention of a Kumbh in Haridwar. It is also described in the Prayag Mahatmya of the 10th century. The Matsya Puran also has a description of Kumbh. There is a mention of an attack by the conqueror Timur on the Kumbh Mela in 1399. The Mela or Fair of Prayag also finds mention in the Ramcharitmanas as well as the Aine Akbari.
कुंभ सदियों से चली आ रही आध्यात्मिक सांस्कृतिक यात्रा है। वेदों में इसका वर्णन मिलता है, पुराणों में मिलता है, हमारे बहुत सारे ऐतिहासिक दस्तावेज भी बताते हैं। महाभारत और रामायण में भी कुंभ परंपरा का उल्लेख किया गया है। दरअसल यह यात्रा सदियों से चलती हुई विभिन्न पड़ावों से होती, और पड़ाव भी कैसे, 12-12 वर्ष बाद आने वाले पड़ाव, जो कि महाकुंभ कहें उसे या पूर्ण कुंभ कहें। और ये पड़ाव ऐसे जहाँ नदी है, मिथक हैं, हमारी संस्कृति है, हमारे संस्कार हैं, हमारे सरोकार हैं, और ये सब मिलकर कुंभ को बनाते हैं।
The tradition of the akhadas, religious orders or sects that are central to Kumbh, has also been formed gradually. The akhadas first make their appearance in the 17th century, and by the 18th century, 13 akhadas had been formed. Before the British, it was the akhadas who would take care of the organizing and arrangement at Kumbh.
अखाड़ों में वर्चस्व की लड़ाई भी थी। कहा जाता है कि बहुत बारी बैरागियों के बीच में, हम वैष्णव को बैरागी कहते हैं क्योंकि उनका वैराग्य उनका सबसे प्रमुख हथियार होता है, तो बैरागी कहे जाते हैं। तो शैव और बैरागियों के बीच में बहुत बार लड़ाइयाँ हुई हैं वर्चस्व के, स्नान को लेकर, पेशवाई को लेकर, शाही स्नान को लेकर। तो यह जो लड़ाइयाँ थीं, इसकी वजह से बहुत बार युद्ध की स्थिति हुई। अकबरनामा में एक चित्र है जिसमें बैरागी और शैव अखाड़े आपस में लड़ रहे हैं, ये दिखाया गया है। लेकिन आज़ादी के बाद 1954 में अखिल भारतीय अखाड़ा परिषद की स्थापना हुई, और ये फिर तय हुआ कि अखाड़ा परिषद तय करेगा कि कौन अखाड़ा आगे जाएगा और कौन अखाड़ा पीछे जाएगा। तब से लेकर आज तक ऐसे युद्ध की स्थिति पैदा नहीं हुई है।
Even in the era of independence, the Kumbh was molded into many symbols. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Rajendra Prasad visited the first Kumbh after India gained independence. But a horrific accident in that same Kumbh, where several people died, showed that in a gathering of that scale, even the smallest mistake can assume disastrous proportions. However, Kumbh carries on, the tradition carries on, the bathing carries on. Even the gods must wonder at the scale of this devotion.
So this is the history of the Kumbh. This is the story of the Kumbh. But is this the only story for the Kumbh? You know, the churning of the ocean and of the battle between the gods and the anti-gods, between the Devas and the Asuras, and the 4 drops of Amrit, of nectar falling on these places on earth. Is this the only story for Kumbh, or are there other stories as well attached to this tradition?
Right, and in fact, are there any other Kumbhs or any event like this or holy dips which can be called Kumbh or claim to be Kumbh, Amish?
Yeah, there are actually. There are other Kumbhs. So there is this Mysuru Kumbh, which happens every 3 years. In fact, it's happening in February as well. It's not a very ancient tradition. I think it's just the 11th edition of the Mysuru Kumbh, which is happening now. But saints from across South India gather at Mysuru Kumbh. There's also the Vrindavan Kumbh, or the Vaishnav Kumbh, which happens right here in UP, in Vrindavan. Honorable Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath ji had also participated in the last one, which I think was in 2021. And the legend goes is that when Lord Krishna killed the serpent Kalia, you know, in Yamuna, the poison of Kalia had actually ended up toxifying some parts of Yamuna ji, and so nectar had been brought down from the heavens to purify Yamuna ji, and that was apparently the start of the Vrindavan Kumbh. And of course, it is essentially the Vaishnav sadhus and the 3 Anni Akaras who take part in that.
So, Amish, this is a Kumbh and the tradition of Kumbh, but what philosophy is at play here? Is it the desire to be immortal that brings the god and the anti-gods to struggle for nectar, or is it driving crores of people to reach Sangam to release them from all their sins?
I think philosophical thought can actually go a lot deeper into the Kumbh. It could be some of these reasons as well. But Acharya Prashant had written, I thought, something very interesting, that even those who want to escape death are in some ways driven by ego. So his outlook was, at least from what I understood, is that both the gods and the anti-gods both had ego, but their ego was for different things. You know? The gods had an ego that they wanted to escape, they wanted to kind of escape death to find liberation, right? That's what they were looking for. Whereas the anti-gods were looking at continuation of life for enjoyment, right? One wanted to be a yogi, one wanted to be a bhogi, and his thing was maybe both were being driven by ego. And that to me is actually the deeper learning of the dharmic tradition of the Kumbh Mela, that all of us have to find our own philosophical reasons. So all of us who come here, including all of you, when you come to the Triveni Sangam, when you look at the waters, when you look at others in the Kumbh Mela, you should ask yourself that why are you here? What have you come to the Kumbh for? What is it that you are seeking? Because unless you ask the right questions, how will you even get answers?
Right. So, Amish, we need to end this discussion and conversation, but we need to tell our viewers that Mahakumbh Tales will continue on NDTV with Amish Tripathi. Namaskar.